Hi team, Adam Cogan here from SSW TV, and we are here for the November Tech News. So let's jump in. And I usually start with .NET news, but tonight I'm starting with Microsoft Office news. And you might be thinking that's an unusual place to start, and you would be right. But I thought this was worth mentioning. Introducing Microsoft Loop. What is that? Well, let's have a look at the video. Anyway, that goes on. You can clearly see that is made by Microsoft Marketing Department because it left me a little more confused after than before. What was dancing? Do I need 3D goggles? I'm not sure, but it is an impressive product. And let me try to explain because it's many different things. You can put yourself in the headspace of doing Teams and sending emails and having an intranet and doing readme.md files on GitHub and Azure DevOps. So have a look at this guy. Here you will come down here and then you'll insert a voting table and then you'll put what you want there. You can enter some data live and you'll see the votes coming in live as we're doing it. It's quite cool. That is essentially a widget. Okay, they call it a component. And here is another one. We're going to insert a status tracker and put some different stuff there. We'll put some dates as well and what status it's up to. And it's a live component. There's lots of those. Here is another one for a ski holiday, and so they make a custom component here, etc. There is also this wiki. Reminds me of SharePoint subsites, I guess, to a degree. It's certainly a friendly wiki. And here's the workspaces. So you can see that this is really catering to a lot of people. They also have this Microsoft editor. So you know how you open up Gmail or something and you go, thanks, and it says for the meeting, and you press tab. Okay? So this is now using the data that you have in your organization. So you can say, our most recent strategic thinking is in this doc, and it will pop open the most likely doc, and you choose the right one. The right people to speak to about this are, and then it'll pop open that, and you select those. So it's quite nice. It's predicting more and more stuff. So very good. In addition, they have this thing called Clipchamp. Now, at SSW, a lot of the developers make a lot of done videos. They're using Camtasia, they're using Loom. This one seems worthy. So we'll see if it's good, but it looks all right. Simple videos. And in addition, PowerPoint has always been able to record a video, not that well, but they put a lot of investment into that. You'll see a record button. So pop open PowerPoint, put your ideas together, record it, get it right, and you could upload it to YouTube if you wanted, or put it into on your intranet. So there you go with that. So lots of cool stuff going on, and it keeps going. There's more. They even talk here about how Excel, which has always been text and numbers, you can add more data types. For example, an image or arrays. It gets more and more powerful. So not only I started my career on Excel and H lookups and V lookups, and got going from there. Now we have X lookups, so things got much, much more powerful with Excel. And obviously for us type of application developers or data guys, this is a renderer of data, and it's getting better and better. If you think about it, Microsoft Loop really is a combination of wikis, of SharePoint, CMS. It's a little bit like Confluence as well. And there is a product out there very similar to this called Notion. So, and that's been quite successful. So let's move along to the next piece of news, and that is .NET 6. And this blog post done by Richard is pretty phenomenal. .NET 6 is a massive release. It's probably the biggest one that we've seen for ages. It's getting together multiple releases, and .NET 5 was putting it together. .NET 6 is solidifying all that, and it also comes with a lot of features. And so he summarizes the features here, the big ones, and this will be important when you're talking to your clients. And there's a lot. But for example, the first one he talks about is support. This is the long-term support, LTS. This is the one that big corporations have been waiting for because they're not going to get onto a version that doesn't have long-term support. He's talking here about it is a unified platform. We've had lots of different flavors of .NET, and now we have .NET 6, which works in Azure, Blazor, Maui, WPF, mobile, gaming with Unity, IoT, AI, etc., etc., etc. This is probably going to be a big push up for C#. The language of C# is probably going to get more popular just because they've nailed this, this unification. And then this goes on. So targeting .NET 6 and performance stuff, and it goes on. And you can see I've been scrolling a bit here, and I'm not even at a quarter of this page. It is a long, long page with a lot of good stuff. So do yourself a favor and get into this page, and you'll know a lot about .NET 6. Beautiful. Now, if you want to talk about .NET 6 development, I would say Jason Taylor did a great job talking about .NET 6, data binding, clean architecture with Blazor. That video was just put up a couple of weeks ago. It's already 7,000 views. His last ones have had hundreds of thousands of views, so it should be good. All that stuff on how to architect your enterprise solution is important. If you want to know more, there is even more. You can see him and others in person on our homepage. There's a whole lot of upcoming user groups and in-person events as well. So there's a clean architecture workshop with Matt Goldman as well. So that should be good. All right, let's talk about another feature. Another feature we have, and I want to give a little bit of context. We like to keep our NPM packages up to date. You can run npm outdated, and you'll see what's out of date, and that should clean that up, or at least tell you what technical debt you have in your project. And a more important thing is you can run npm audit. And what that tells you is ones that have security vulnerabilities. This is great. But we also use a lot of NuGet packages. And NuGet have had some announcements. There's a whole lot of good stuff here. And .NET support is obviously important, but this one down here I thought was excellent. So package vulnerabilities in Visual Studio. So let's just talk about this UI. This UI now has a little warning symbol. It says you've got a vulnerable package in your NuGet packages. It'll say what version and what the vulnerability is and fix it quick smart. So now NuGet and npm work similar. In addition, NuGet has said that they have put together this readme.md in your NuGet package. That is excellent. And if you wanted to see a real example of that in action, here's one. MySQL connector. There is a README in there, and that's been added in, and you can see how to use it. So that's a nice little change as well. Now let's talk about Visual Studio. We love Visual Studio. 2022 is out. Most of the devs here have already installed it and are using it. If you haven't, you should get it. Now, they have a lot of information here on this as well, so I might just play this. So you can see that first feature that they're talking about here is essentially 64-bit support. That's going to make large projects much faster. All right, what's this one? Intellicode. So now we can type a line of code and get, like here we've typed A, and it predicts what you are possibly going to write, even with the parameters. So you can just type A tab. You can go on the next line, B tab, C tab. You could look like you can code when you can't even code. So it's going to be impressive for some demos. Now, how does this work? We have this is a large machine learning algorithm that has consumed all the open source code out there. Microsoft bought GitHub, which gives some real benefits. You've got all that code, you run machine learning over it, and now we're predicting it. In addition, it looks at the code in your project and melds it together, and now we're typing. All right. So, and the next version of Visual Studio, you're just going to think, and it's just going to write it for you. Okay? This hot reload, this is a popular feature as well. You can see that he's typing a line of code, he's pressing Control-S just to save, and you're seeing it in the WPF app or the web app or whatever you've got there, and that will just keep happening. And you can also run your tests, even if you're on a Windows machine, on Linux. This looks great. The best way to consume all this information, really, is to watch all the videos that they released. Here's Scott Hanselman, and he goes through and he talks to all the different people. Of course, videos these days have all these time codes. So if I wanted to know, what would I like to know? Hot reload, you can click on that.
David, hey Scott, demos.
And then he goes through and he just demos these things. So yeah, have a look at this stuff. It's really worth checking out. So let's talk about, I thought this was worth commenting about, upgrade the UI. I didn't instantly notice what had changed. If you come down here, they have told us that the icons have changed, and see they were fuller in 2019, now that they're kind of empty, or more visual. And here are the old ones, and here are the new ones, a little bit more see-through-ish, I guess. And it's better with dark theme, so that's good. And they've done some work here on the contrast. I can barely see this. Visual Studio 2019 is here, and Visual Studio 2022 is here. I don't know if you can see much difference there, but obviously they probably spent a lot of money on that feature, so I shouldn't discount that. Now, the new accent color, I like this. The old version, 2019, was bluish, and now we're purplish. Much better. All right, and check this out. These, this Cascadia, font, this Cascadia mono font, as you're typing, look at that, exclamation equal, it changes it to these. These are called ligatures. I would love it if Penny's on the chat, she could do a tweet. Would you like to see these ligatures as you're coding, or not like them? I think that would be very cool to know about the coders. Also, I'd like to know whether the devs like Loop. Did they think Microsoft Loop is cool or not cool? That's certainly interesting. Now, all this stuff is available, all the new stuff is available in the preview version. Now, to be clear, Visual Studio 2022 is already out. I could click on that. That is the, I'll call it the old version. And if you want to get with the program, you get on the new preview, which is even newer and better. All right, let's talk about VS Code, our lightweight editor. Microsoft like to keep us up to date with this. This version from October, they are developing it out in the open so we can see, and somebody external has shown how these 4,000 issues have been fixed or closed. And then they list down all the new stuff, workbench, parameters, editors, and there's lots and lots and lots. But probably the biggest one is that it runs in the browser now. So that is much nicer. We are running, well, you don't even have to install it anymore. Just run in the browser. All right. Now, GitHub. So let's talk about GitHub. GitHub have announced that Git, our source code system, is at 2.34 now. Gee, they're keeping to low version numbers. And we have the sparse index for some performance. We have multi-pack. We have a new default merge strategy. Anything that helps merging is good. And other tidbits, okay? And there's lots. Look at this one. If you've ever accidentally typed git psuh when you meant push, you'll get this message. Psuh is not a git command. You made a mistake. You did a typo. Well, now it will auto-correct you and run. Isn't that going to be interesting? I personally don't want any command lines doing anything too clever for me, because that could end you up in a world of hurt, running a command you wouldn't want to run. But anyway, that's there. Now, GitHub also talks about a Universe 2021. So Thomas Dompke, he has listed a whole lot of new stuff here, and there is a lot as well to talk about. And obviously, the best way of consuming that content is in these slick videos they've put together. There's a lot of videos here, and they're really done nicely. Let me just give you an example.
Welcome to GitHub Universe. It has been an incredible...
So there is Nat Friedman, CEO of GitHub, and you know that as you go through, you'll see a lot of demos here, and it's really nice. I thought these projects in GitHub were excellent. We're already using them. So on that news, Nat Friedman also did a blog post, and he said, "Thank you and good night." He has stepped down, and he came from the Xamarin acquisition that Microsoft did. He's been there for several years, and then he promptly stepped down after that at the conference. So he's been taken over by Thomas, and Thomas, that's the guy that wrote that blog post. I have met both guys, and they're both very different and very awesome. This guy came from the hockey app acquisition, and that was the mobile test studio analytics stuff. So he has really done well. He's a German guy and pretty awesome. So, you know, it's funny. Look how much coding he's done. I wonder if he'll still be coding that much as a CEO. Interesting. All right. Now, what's this thing? Meta and Microsoft. So what product are we talking about here with Meta? We are talking about Facebook, because they've been renamed. So this really is Facebook and Microsoft have tied Workplace. So Facebook is an app we all know and love. We know it. And then they have a similar app that you can use inside a company. It's called Workplace. It's like an intranet type thing. It's just like Facebook, but just with your work colleagues on. But they have integrated with Microsoft Teams. I find this fascinating, not because I use Workplace, because I don't, but just the fact that here's Teams, and instead of the chatting, we've got the Workplace feed here coming down. So I just find this fascinating because you're going to have Slack, potentially do an integration. You're going to see much more integration points, and we might have our own apps where we integrate with Teams as well, with more and more extension points. So I think that's going to be fascinating. Then we have Microsoft to bring mesh avatars and virtual environments to Teams. All right, so now you'll be able to create an avatar to represent yourself, and if somebody has a VR headset, they can have a chat with you. Is this a solution to a problem I didn't have? Maybe, but anyway, I'm sure some geeks will love this. Should be fascinating. And I'm going to finish with a tip from Matt Wicks. I thought this was very cool. Basically, when you're on a chat, you shouldn't say to someone, "Hey," or hi, or you there, or something like that. Imagine calling someone on the phone, going hello, and then putting them on hold. That's essentially being rude. So if anyone does that, like I did to him today, send them this link so they don't do it anymore. So don't do this, instead do this. So put the question straight away. It's much better. All right, so hopefully that's the best tip of the night. This video and lots of other videos are going up on SSW TV, so make sure you subscribe to that. And I will see you next month for the SSW Tech News.